I'm at Bardill's Garden Centre in Western Nottingham to look at what's popular in the houseplant world. And the key word seems to be tiny. Tiny plants, racks of them everywhere. Tiny bromeliads, tiny asparagus, tiny begonias, and all these plants are in 2-inch pots or less, but cost about £3.55. So it's a classic example of shrinkflation in the modern world. Pots of lithops looking really nice actually, and not a bad price. And again, tiny succulents in racks of pots. Most of these are crassulas, echiverias, kalanchoes, all really small. And going to have to grow them on a lot before they come to a size that's really decorative. But here are some lovely Opuntias, cacti, and I really like these cacti. The problem is, if you touch them or seem to get anywhere near them, the glochids jump out at you, and they can be really irritating in the skin. So if you're thinking of buying one of these, be careful. Please don't touch it. Handle it with gloves or a cloth or something like that to really avoid the glochids, these tiny spines that seem to be everywhere on these plants and seem to get on you really easily. Here's a particularly nice one. I'm not sure which this one is. One that's obviously just flowered, that's very nice. I think that's Basil Opuntia, that one from the Caribbean. And another nice one here that's got longer spines, but they've all got these nasty glochids that could jump out at you. Mellow cactus, the one with the cephalium. Philodendrons here, very popular these days, but also very expensive and can be a bit touchy. Tiny tillandsias here. They don't seem to be selling the large plants anymore of tillandsias. They all seem to be these tiny ionantha variety, and they're presented in tiny pots, but they're not going to grow any bigger, these plants, and they do need to be watered regularly by immersion. Tiny alocasias here, also in small pots, maybe 2 inches here, and they're increasingly popular but difficult to grow. Very popular also monstera, and they've got also the idea of presenting and selling these in small pots, and that has kept the price down. But you do have to be an expert to grow these plants to a reasonable size. Here's a nice bromeliad of Risha fenestralis, just like the one that I have at home that I bought a few years ago. Other popular plants are Worthias, these Cooperi, very bland, green, blobby succulents. I'm not sure why they're so popular, but the striped varieties are really nice and look good on a window shelf. Outside we've got displays of these sempervivums, delospermums, good, nice looking succulents, a big tray, a big bench of succulents here, most of them sempervivums of one kind or another, which are the hardy ones which you can grow outside on your rockery or in a well-drained part of your garden. Sempervivum tectorum, I think some of these might actually be echiverias, and they're still sempervivums there. And further on down the bench we've got other succulents like pachyphytums, crassula muscosa, echeveria there, a nice one in flower. I'm not sure how many of these plants are actually hardy outside during the winter. I think it would be a bit risky planting them outside, even though they're as presented as hardy succulents. More small air plants for sale, this time not mounted in pots. And if you buy these, what you need to remember is you have to soak them in a bucket of water about once a week to keep them alive and growing, and they need a little bit of fertilizer in that water. But nice plants. More cacti here, mammillarias, yet more opuntias. Nice ones here in slightly bigger pots, slightly bigger plants. Pliospilos, eggplants. They're nice when they flower, more echiverias. these horrible cacti with flowers stuck on the top. Why they insist on doing that, I don't know. Grafted gymnocalciums, don't like those either. Venus flytrap onto the popular carnivorous plants now. Sarracenias are popular. What you've got to remember with these plants is that they must only be watered with distilled water or rainwater, or they'll soon turn their toes up. They must be kept damp also because they come from boggy places. These sundews, plants like these grow in Britain. And here's a nice one, just the one that was in flower. But that's what they look like. They're decorative in flower as well. More Sarracenias of different types. Very popular plants apparently these days. The shelves are filled with them. And finally, here's a balsam related to Himalayan balsam, which is a bad weed in this country.